Hi, this is Katie and Dave from BabyYodaTV, and you're watching our movie review for Marriage Story. Marriage Story is a movie directed by Noah Baumbach and stars Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. It's a movie about a married couple that's going through a divorce while also trying to stay and make it work as a family for their son. I want to start with analyzing the marriage before everything just goes to shit, right? It starts with them like showing their lives basically together, I guess, with the kid. How everything works. A little bit, I feel like from the start you can see the guy portrayed by Adam Driver, right? He's kind of controlling, I guess, in a lot of sense, right? Just like even when he goes around the kid, right? You can see him at start like saying, "Don't let him do that," or trying to have this perfect life he's imagining, right? At that point, you see a lot of situation happening in the house, I guess, where he shows how they both function together, right? She's kind of clumsy. He's really into order, I guess. Also at work, you can see the same energy, I guess. Since he is the director, she's the actress, right? So you can see like how he reflects his work relationship with her also at home, kind of. What do you think about it?
You mean you've seen that in the part where they talk about each other, what they liked about each other during their marriage, or
No, I meant like
what
when
point?
there's a scene where he directs the play where she's playing, right? And
Yes.
I could see his straight look by being just professional at it. Basically, not seeing her for her, seeing her as part of his play. Basically, it was kind of weird, I guess. Like you could see the tension building up that he basically sees her as an asset because it's just bringing work home. Basically, that the relationship is always the same. It kind of developed through the years like this because I think
Yeah,
it's
you mean that he acts like he's directing her life as well
exactly,
as
yeah.
her
But I think
acting.
this is the thing, people identify with their work most of the time, and him being a director means him being in control. And I guess he never like gave up that role even at home, right?
Yes, but I think that's generally a problem when you work with the person you live with and when you work with the person you are married with. So
Mm,
it's hard to divide those things because you both think in the same way. You both think through your work, especially if you're both very competitive and if you're both very ambitious, which they both appear to be. Well, she appeared that she has toned down her ambitiousness and competitiveness because of their marriage,
mm.
and that seems like, or maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. That seems to be the main reason why she gave up on that marriage because she wanted to feel ambitious again. She wanted to feel alive, as she said. And I would interpret that being alive, which coincidentally he also sings the song "Being Alive"
Mm-hmm.
in the end of the movie, and it seems like he starts being funny about it, but in the end he almost starts crying while
Yeah,
singing that, and he says that basically he says through a song that he was alive when he met her,
yeah,
that he felt alive as he struggled to keep his marriage, to keep his career, to raise his child. It was difficult. It was a lot of struggle, but that made him feel alive. And as she said, she was only feeding his aliveness
mm.
while she was now alive with him.
It's true because when you look at it, he had his career. He was getting better at it. Definitely more recognized for it, and still he had the emotional support of a family. You know, like he had it all basically at that point. Maybe it wasn't
Yeah,
the
and
most
the
perfectly.
interesting part is that he didn't have a family a part of that one,
Yeah,
while she did have one, and
and
it
she
was
left her.
easier for her to leave that marriage behind because
Mm.
she had her sister, she had her mother who sang with her that song,
Yeah,
"You Could Drive a Person Crazy," and I feel like that song was about him also.
Kind of.
But the fact that she's singing that song with them and he's singing it alone also points that out, that it's easier for her to go through it all, even though she was the one that initiated it, it seems to me. But then again, as she said in that fight scene, I was always the one that loved you more than you loved me.
It may not be true, but it sure does look like it, I would just say.
The fact that he cheated on her, even if it was only once,
Yeah.
it was
With the ugliest chick
like
in the fucking
something
movie.
that broke her.
Yeah. It did. It's hard. Like in this movie, you like see two people, right? And at some point, like when I started watching the movie, I kind of wanted to identify with the guy because I wanted to see how it would be if I was at his place. But then again, you cannot really do it watching this movie. Like there's so many points that this happening that you cannot like say, okay, this one is right, because they're both right and wrong in this movie, which I liked kind of about the movie. Like you cannot say like, yeah, you know, she's the bad guy, or yeah, he's the bad guy, you know. They're both actually fucking nice people, generally speaking, right?
Yes, and that's the reality of it. No one's ever fully the one that can be
Good or bad.
be seen as guilty. They're both guilty for certain parts of it.
Yeah, everybody contributed to the end result that happened. And it was kind of interesting watching, since you mentioned the fight scene, right? Through the whole movie, you don't really see them fight, right? They try to make it work. Like even at some points, like you see this, they have this affection for each other, or love, I'd say, because you know she cuts his hair and he helps her with that, and you know, like you see they're really trying to be good to each other, but they never actually lash out to each other. But when they actually do at this one particular scene, all hell breaks loose, literally. Like you see stuff being said that just makes you lose your mind, right? Like if you imagine like saying that to a person, it's kind of horrible at some point. So it was kind of interesting to see how it would look like when they fight. Like I knew it would happen through the movie, definitely, but I never expected it to go this far. Actually, that was some harsh shit, especially from his side. I mean, like that was fucked up.
And it was really impressive how both Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver delivered that scene. It was like
Yeah,
they really felt it.
Usually you see them just like being Black Widow and Kylo Ren, whatever his fucking name is, from Star Wars. It's interesting really to see how they really acted, and I didn't like expect them to, because this movie is a hard movie. It's a drama, right? It's not easy to watch. Definitely, I wouldn't recommend it to people that want to get married, because it's definitely going to change their plans about it. Or to people that want to get divorced because they're going to stay married for sure after seeing that, because getting divorced
they're afraid what their attorneys will do.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, when the attorneys step in, man. I mean, I like how the attorneys play their roles, right? The guy was what's his name? Ray Liotta was the attorney of Charlie, right? James Marotta was his name in the movie, right? He portrayed like this big asshole guy, just corporation guy, man. Like he was ready to fucking just go in and take everything. Like, but at that point, Charlie was like, "Okay, this guy's just fucking crazy. I'm not gonna hire him. Definitely, he's gonna destroy my wife, right, or my ex-wife at that point. I don't want that. Definitely, this is too much drama, right? But then she hires Nora, right? Who is this also like she's like this chick pretending like, you know, I understand you, it's all good, we're gonna fix this. I feel, you know, like they lawyers, they say that shit, but all this
but she just
all this
she
is
was
money.
just feeding on her sadness.
Yeah, she played her really good. Like she played her professionally, like saying, we're gonna fix this, honey, don't worry, nothing bad's gonna happen. And then just half an hour later everything goes to shit, because you know, lawyers, they just care about money. Like they just want to have more hours to work so they can just take more
and
cash.
They're also as competitive as they are, as Charlie and Nicole are.
Like, yeah, but it was kind of funny. I don't know if you noticed, like that scene when they see each other for the first time. I mean, Jay and Nora, right? they're like, oh, see at this barbecue, is this guy gonna be there, or is that person gonna be there? Like they just like know each other, like they chill outside the job, but once they step in the fucking courtroom, it's all hell. Like they don't even like hold back at all. Like they just care about the job, and they go hard in it, which makes them, I guess.
It's interesting that you mentioned that they have completely different relationship outside of the job, but they're also competitive in it, and they act like they want to eat each other while they're
because it's 700 an hour. What do you mean? Like for that kind of money, they have to do that shit. Like outside the courtroom, I guess they're really good friends, but inside, no, there's no friendship. It's just about winning.
But it's also easier to be friend with someone you work with than it is to be married and have children with that person, which is also an interesting parallel between Charlie and Nicole and those lawyers, because they both do the same job.
It's also one thing, like I think I mentioned that before too. If two people just spend way too much time together, they get kind of sick of each other at some point, because spending a lot of time together does create stress, I would say. Any kind of stress, right? And if you create stress between each other at work, for example, when you go home, that stress is not gone. It's now it's home, So it's also the same thing at work. If they, for example, fight at home and then go to work, they cannot function professionally. So yeah, I would say it was definitely a bad thing that they actually worked together and were a couple.
It couldn't like stand all that stress for too long, and it's impressive that it did for as long as it did.
How long was it actually? 8 years, maybe more?
We don't know for how long they were married, but we know that their child has 8 years, and also we know that she was engaged to a different guy before she met him. And she also felt like she is dead during that period, and then he made her feel alive. I mean, Charlie did when they met.
But it was all fake, I think.
She didn't recognize that feeling for what it was. She later said that, she was only feeding his aliveness.
Yeah, exactly. It probably felt so good at the start because she felt she had a purpose finally, from a career standpoint also, since she was acting there, right, in his theater, but also like she was his girlfriend, whatever. They were kind of happy. It felt right at the start, but the main problems that she had till then were never solved. It was just pushed aside, and it built up from time to time to happen to what it did happen in the end, And he kind of never saw it coming, I guess, because he was just used to shit being in his control, right? He never thought outside that box. It's like my theater, my wife, my kid, we do it like this, we do it like that. He was a controlling person, definitely, and she was kind of people pleaser. So I guess it kind of functioned for a while, considering there were these two kind of characters.
Yeah, but in the end it looked like she doesn't want to be that,
maybe unfulfilled in her ambitions, I would say.
Yeah, but also when she was with Charlie, she was acting as Charlie would want her to act. And when she went to her mother already started
at the first scene. I remember, even the movie is a fucking drama, right? It has this kind of comedic parts to it, because they don't want you actually to feel like depressed watching this movie all the time, because if it weren't for these funny scenes, I would say you would just get depressed watching this shit, literally. They do implement this comedic parts, which I really like, I guess, about the movie. But yeah, continue. I just wanted to say that.
And I just remembered that part when that girl came to Charlie's home in LA to see how Charlie and Henry are doing, how they live their lives. And
she was working for the state, right?
Cut his arm, and he was like, "Oh, it's nothing." I probably didn't detect it all the way. And he was bleeding. He was literally bleeding there.
Yeah.
But he just like, oh, it's nothing.
He was trying to act normal because he knew he had to be his best at this point, because this was like depending on him getting custody or not.
Yes, and the fact that he was so afraid of it made him so clumsy about it. Like like it was with Nicole's sister Cassie when she was to serve him the divorce papers. And
It's funny, like it's like he looks at it and she just grabs it slightly and just hands it back to him. You've been served. Like, okay, you should have
you
not.
two are getting I don't know.
That's kind of funny, like when you see how like the movie does kind of make you not choose sides in this kind of thing, but like also the characters that play in the movie, like you can see like her mom, she fucking loves Charlie, and her sister also, like she feels uncomfortable serving him, right, because she likes the guy, right? So it was kind of like a shit show watching the whole situation happening, basically, for everybody involved. For everybody,
Yeah,
literally.
I was really on the edge of my seat when that happened. He was like, it was in front of him the whole time, but he didn't see it until he did.
Yeah. I was kind of waiting, like I knew he would find it because it was obvious. It had his name on it, so you know when you see shit with your name on it, you basically want to know what the fuck it is, right?
Well, of course.
So,
That's also interesting. He was so confused while talking to Nicole that he didn't even see his name,
mm.
and he was looking right at it.
I kind of expected him to react more furious in that scene, right? Because like when they did agree to a certain point, let's not involve lawyers because it's gonna end up badly, right? To the point they knew this is the risk, right? And she did it anyways because some random chick just told her like, you know, you should probably do it because this chick saved my life, shit like that. No, she didn't, but whatever. And all shit started from there, right? At some point, like when he saw it, like I guess I expected him to be more furious about it because nothing is good is definitely gonna come out of it. But he was pretty cool about it. Kind of disappointed. You could see he was disappointed, but no, not angry. At least
Well,
not on the outside.
well, that's the point with throughout the whole movie, they suppressed their emotions. They were acting so hard and like they don't care. You could see it in them at certain parts, but they were acting really stable and like nothing's happening, even though they were both like torn apart. And until that fight
Hmm.
happened, they were really trying so hard to contain themselves so they don't lash out at each other because they still had a lot of respect for each other.
Yeah, that fight was the end result of everything happening until then. Basically, it all just built up, you know. They just shut up, don't talk about it, and just BAM explodes. Like and he tells her like, he wants to see her dead, whatever. Like so fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It also portrays how their marriage was. They were always wanting to say something so badly, but they never said it.
Mm.
And it ended that way because of it, probably.
Why was that? Like, why not say it? Like, did they expect if they talk about it, they look better in the eyes of their partner, or they were sick of each other? I can't really process it because watching through the movie kind of see them having this at least really friendly relationship with each other. But then again, they keep so much from each other. Like she was disappointed with him and everything, but she never like directly told him, you know, Charlie, you're an asshole, you know, for doing that and that. And she did find out about the cheating and everything. I kind of find it weird that he had as an email, but whatever. Also, he never tells her like stuff that bothers him, so it's kind of weird, I guess. You would expect people that have this friendly relationship with each other to be more open about their feelings, but they just suppressed everything, like literally.
It seems like their marriage was a huge play as well. As we said, they had a hard time separating the job and the private. But it seems like they took the job to home and they made a huge play.
Oh, yeah.
It was all a play during the whole time, and
That,
they just wanted to keep it going because in the end of it all, neither of them was a marriage person. To be honest, I don't see them as as a marriage
no, they were
person.
both career persons, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, because as they said, both when they were talking about what they liked about each other, they said they liked that they're competitive.
mm,
And a competitive person is hardly ever a good family person because they will be competitive when it comes to their spouse. they will be competitive when it comes to their kids, and
Mm.
they will always be competitive.
Do you think the movie would have had an alternative ending if both of them would have read the notes at that one meeting with the, what was it, psychologist or marriage counselor, I guess? That was something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, they were about to. That was the start of the movie, right? They were supposed to read notes that both wrote about each other, but they didn't because she didn't want to, right? Do you think the movie would have had an alternative ending if they did it, or it would have been the same shit show? I wouldn't say the same
Well,
result, but I'm just saying the same shit show.
I'm not sure, but I think Nicole wasn't sure about it, and she didn't want to read it, and she didn't want to hear Charlie's because she was afraid she might change her mind.
Yeah, definitely. Because
And
we all know what she wrote actually, and it was kind of good stuff.
but if they had that counseling moment earlier in their marriage, maybe they could have changed something. But
Yeah.
even if they read it now, maybe Nicole would have changed her mind at first, but then again, she would go crazy. And then, because as we saw with the people from the theater, they said that they were arguing about are they really going to divorce? And one of them said, well, this time it's for real. So
Yeah, it happened
clear
before.
that there were a lot of times that happened before.
Mhm.
So it's only a matter of time when it will happen. But maybe it wouldn't if they actually managed to take the counseling or to communicate to each other. But then again, it's really hard to separate the business and the personal for them, obviously.
When she got the role offer in LA, it kind of changed everything because it opened her eyes to the possibilities of who she could be. Like her dreams came back to her, saying basically, yeah, you can do it this now, and this is a huge opportunity to get what you always wanted, right, in life.
If she didn't have that marriage, if he didn't have that marriage, it is a big question if any of them would have achieved what they have achieved later on in their careers. Charlie even said that that grant that he got, that MacArthur grant, what was it called? I forgot.
I think
Yeah, he said it's for both of us. It's not just mine.
Mm,
As well as her part in that series. If he didn't work with her so much, if he wasn't so demanding, maybe she never could have achieved that. Who knows?
what makes me think, like, maybe if they just stayed a couple but never married or got kids, just focusing on their careers, they could have been functioning together, but separate careers, of course, not the same, not in the same theater, right? Because we both know, like, this is what was one of the turning points for the let's say marriage now. But if they just stayed a couple and she went to TV, he directed, I think they could have worked pretty good together. But like this, in this situation, no, I would say it never had a chance.
Well, maybe then they would be even more competitive about each other because they would be working for different companies and different.
Well, he's into
stuff.
theater and she's into movies, so I don't think it's not really the same thing. It's both acting, but it's different genres. So
In the end, she was the one who was director for a certain series, or was that pilot series she?
I thought she was just the actress there, or no.
Yes, but in the end they were talking about her being a director, and
Oh, okay. I didn't see that person.
she did get some award for directing, and Charlie was surprised when he heard that.
I kind
It's
of
in the end.
I kind of skipped that part. My bad. I'm gonna rewatch it only just to see it. The message of the movie is definitely like rethink your choices before you go for it because it might not be might not be a happy ending in this kind of shit.
It seemed like they're in the beginning when they were talking about the things they like about each other. It appeared like they are completely compatible because one's weaknesses are the other one's strengths, and vice versa. But it actually appeared that they're just too different as persons. Like they do have similar interests, that's for sure, but They have completely different views on parenting, a
Yeah.
completely different view on a relationship, etc.
This is what I think one of the most problem their relationship was. They never fought enough. Because I think every relationship needs fighting because that determines on what you really think, which they really didn't, and it was kind of the end of it. Like, this is the paradox in the whole thing. Like, you hear all the time, like, oh, these people are getting separated because they fight too much, right? But also you can see that people that don't fight enough end up in the same fucking situation, right? So it's kind of paradox, I guess, to the whole relationship
Yes,
thing.
they just had that one big fight somewhere to the end of the movie, and
It just
I feel
exploded.
like they never had even one fight while
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
married.
Through the whole movie, I feel like they never had like any mortification at all. Like, they were just so fucking nice to each other, right? Which is kind of bullshit. Like, when you tell a person you hope she would die or whatever, like, okay, you didn't just invent this shit. You kind of thought of it way before, right? At some point. So that's kind of messed up. So I think like they were to fight more before, it would have been more beneficial to them. Not saying it would have saved something or whatever, but it would have been more beneficial, definitely.
Yeah, they would feel better, probably both, if they would just say what they think and feel.
For me personally, like when I watched the scene when they were fighting, right? When I saw the shit he said to her, like I was like, yeah, man, I don't want to be that guy. Like, and I never want to say this hurtful kind of shit to another person. Like the shit that drives you there. No, come on, and that's definitely so much stuff that was suppressed. And I guess that's the movie trying to portray you basically like that. What everything can go wrong for the right reasons, maybe, right? So it's kind of definitely an interesting thing to see. Like, nobody's really an asshole in this movie when you look at it, except the kid, right? But
Kid was product of their love, so uh,
love, yeah, that's a hard word, I guess.
so you can see the conflict right there. Like there was something wrong from the start. Otherwise,
Hmm.
that child wouldn't have ended up acting that way. But then again, we can't just forget that it was hurtful for a child to
Hmm.
have a separating parents, and he loves them both, even though he was going through a mom phase at the moment we were
That was
looking at what's going on.
definitely was obvious, right? And Charlie also knew it because it was obvious to him that the kid was just trying to go be more close to his mother, right? Even when he started talking about staying in LA, having better friends here, like it was just obvious to him. Okay, this kid doesn't want to live with me, man. Like, it just wants to be here. So I'm losing him, but I don't want to because then again, like I don't want the kid to think that I just gave up, right? It just shows a bad picture of me. And he thought if he doesn't show the kid that he was really fighting for him, the kid would either hate him or just. It's not going to be the same relationship that he was trying to have with the child, right? It would end up being something completely different. And he loved
Yeah,
him,
I
like he
agree.
loved the kid. Like, you cannot say that he didn't. But I mean, at some point you have to realize that the collateral damage to the same result is not worth the effort. I would say he should have just gave up at the start because you're not proving anything. Just try to do your best as much as you can, but just don't go there, man. But he went there because of the shit that was happening, he started to activate his competitive side that we talk about, right? He was like, "No, I'm
Mhm.
gonna prove you, that I'm the right parent for this kid, whatever." So,
I think he was also angry that they agreed to
mm,
just keep it out of the judge room or whatever.
mm.
But then she just got a lawyer and she just served him, and
At some point, I feel like she did it on purpose, just because it would have ended up being on his terms again, right? Because
yeah.
their whole relationship through, she was the agreeable one, right? The pleaser, as I said, and she thought, like, thinking about it, like, yeah, see, I'm doing it again. It's always gonna be how he wants it to be. I'm going here now, finishing this path, then coming back. Why? Why should I come back? I don't live in New York, right? I'm from LA. My family is here. Why should I be there, close to a guy who I'm not even married to anymore? I mean, okay, it makes
Yes.
sense. He wants to see the kid, right? It's also his kid. So
Yeah, I could relate to both of them, even though at certain parts I felt like more sorry for him. But then at another parts I felt like more like her. And I think that's the point, more or less. It's not
Mm.
just female male part of the story, even though at one point it was like Nicole's attorney said, uh, you can't be imperfect mother. He can get away with being an imperfect father, but you have to be perfect, just like Mary used to be to Jesus, and God didn't even show up. He didn't even do the fucking.
That was the one of the funniest scenes. I'm not gonna lie.
But
That-
it was true.
It
It
was
was
fucking
true.
true, yeah. Because I think Nora, she had one of the best lines in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, yeah, it was so funny. Like when she talked about Jesus and all, he didn't do the fucking like I was like fucking laughing my ass off. I'm not gonna lie, that was funny as fuck. Um,
Yeah, and the funny part is, like, we agreed that you will be the one that will watch the trailer and then the movie, and I will watch the movie and then the trailer. As I watched the trailer, I felt like the trailer was showing more of the Nicole's side of the story, and that she was the one that suffers more. While I was watching the movie, I felt like, even though she acted like she suffered more, I feel like the Charlie was the one that lost the most through
because
all that.
most of the part of the movie, when you look at Charlie, what do you see? I see a fucking guy who's trying to be cold and rational and not emotional at all, but it just breaks him down. Like you cannot stay that way, and it's interesting. I think Adam Driver, right, as a character, right. I watched a lot of interviews after the movie with him, and I noticed that. In real life, he's also this kind of cold person that doesn't really show much emotion, and it kind of suited for him to play the role of Charlie at that point because Charlie was this controlled guy, not showing like any kind of emotion, just trying to do the right thing or not really most of the time not the right thing because he cheated, right, to do the thing that are necessary. At this point you would mostly see his wife Nicole, right, getting broken down by the whole situation. This is why in the trailer maybe you do see it like she's suffering more, but through the movie you actually see who's the one making the bigger sacrifice, right, because he did make the bigger sacrifice, to be honest, because he risked a lot of things just to be with the kids, because I know LA and New York, they're not close to each other. That's pretty far away, and you have to
Yes.
pay another apartment. It just drains your money. Like I don't know how much money you have. It's gonna drain you definitely.
I feel like they did a pretty good job with the trailer, actually.
Hmm.
They started with exactly that scene where they were like writing good stuff about each other,
Hmm.
but it was like Charlie was talking and then the Nicole and then it was all mixed up, but
And
it
then
was fine. And I loved that they pronounced that they both said
competitive at the
they are
same time.
competitive. Yes,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think they did a good job. But I have to say that I felt like they were trying to tell more Nicole's part of the story. Maybe it's because of the women's rights and stuff. I'm not sure, but yeah, I felt like it was more that side of the story.
Hmm.
So that's
At
the
least in the trailer, right?
yeah.
Well, it could be right because of course a trailer is there to grab attention, right? And if some team is currently popular, they might not abuse it, right? But in the end I wouldn't really care because the movie didn't portray this so much, so, or at all, I guess. So,
Yes.
so it doesn't really matter. But we are here talking about the trailer, so it's important to actually express that. So yeah, good on that.
And how did you feel when you first saw the trailer?
Hmm.
And how did you feel about the trailer? And how did you enjoy the movie?
Well, this is the thing. Watching the trailer, you see kind of more a comedic side to it, right? It doesn't really show you much how the movie is gonna be. Like you see some certain scenes where they talk to the lawyers, right, and the lawyers like, oh, she's gonna go crazy, right, and you feel like, yeah, there's definitely gonna stuff happen, but doesn't reveal much. I did notice the same as you, like when the scene starts, right, they talk about this, they read through these notes they wrote to each other, right, and they both agree on competitiveness. So I kind of felt like they had like strong feelings for each other of some sort, at least, right. But I'm kind of glad the trailer didn't give out too much information on what's gonna happen in the movie, like the fight scene or something like that. That was major, right? It wasn't in the trailer. So yeah, I kind of like that. I like the trailer. It didn't really hype me that much, maybe, but in the end, it didn't disappoint me for sure, which is, I think, more important, I guess. Right? When you watch a trailer, you don't want to get disappointed at the start. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, definitely, I like the trailer. I like the movie more than the trailer, but I like the trailer just because it didn't reveal too much stuff. I think the biggest mistake movies make is when they reveal too much information about the movie through the trailer, which kind of you feel like watching just longer scenes of a fucking trailer through a movie.
What I hate the most is when they put the most emotional parts in the trailer, and then when you watch the movie, you're like, well, this isn't half as interesting as I expected it to be.
See, they didn't do that in this trailer because
Yes.
there's the scene with Nicole when she's talking to Nora, right? And she's right about to break, right? We know what part we mean, right? When she's right about to cry and just be like, oh my god, this shit.
So
is
how
just...
are you? Yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't show that after part, right? The aftermath of the stuff that's gonna happen right now. So I like that they kind of prepare you. Like you see, she's kind of like about to break, but you don't see the scene, which is perfect. I think. Like I don't want to see that shit really before I watch the movie, because it would just like destroy some crucial parts of the movie for me personally. So yeah, I think that the trailer did do a good job actually. This movie, not something perfect, but I mean it's a Netflix film, right? So
Yes.
which kind of find weird because this kind of movie I wouldn't really recommend as a Netflix movie, to be honest. Something that you can watch at home just at the start, because first of all, it's too accessible to people that are really unstable in their relationships. Second of all, like imagine you're just watching this thing and your spouse comes into the room and says, "Hey, what are you watching?" And they're like, oh, like, okay, maybe we should just fucking break up because this shit is too real, right? So I think this should have been more like a cinema movie, but yeah, other than that, it's just really good acting, and it's written really well.
Yes, it's pretty realistic, which is good. And I also wanted to say that, yeah, it should have been a cinematic experience because, like you said, it's like too accessible to just sit there and just watch it, and you get to just want to watch it when you have some free time, when you are at a stressful period in your life, and that's not good because this is a very stressful movie to sit through, and it's really hard to watch. Like it's really emotionally charged. So, and also I feel like you don't experience the emotions for what they are when you watch it at the little screen compared to the big screen. Like we had so many close-ups of Nicole's and Charlie's faces while they were crying, while they were really desperate, while they were showing so many emotions, and it was really there. And I felt like it would have been so much better if this was seen at a cinema, like
it
a
definitely
cinema movie.
should have been a cinema movie out of way too much reasons. But yeah, it ended up being a Netflix movie, which is okay. I mean, like all in all, I would fucking rate it one of the better movies I watched. To be honest, just it's so well written and so well acted. Doesn't affect me that it's not maybe my favorite genre. It's just a really good play, you know. Just a really good movie.
Yes, same. Like this is not the kind of a movie I would watch like the most, but yeah, it has a certain quality to it. At first, I watched the movie twice, And at first I was like, well, this isn't as good as I was expecting it to be. But as I was thinking about it, as I was peeling the layers of the movie, I saw there so much more about it than it is visible at first. So you gotta really get into it. You gotta really analyze it to see it for what it is. Actually,
Exactly.
it's not just some romantic drama movie or something. It's more than that. It's like it goes through so many parts of being a human, of being a couple, of being a partner, of being a parent, of
Exactly.
being in the middle of a big situation, a big stressful situation in your life.
Of being alive, I guess. Generally.
Yes, being alive. So,
would you recommend everybody watching it twice?
well, I don't know. It depends what kind of person you are, because as I said, it's really hard to sit through that kind of a movie. If you're more into action movies, if you're more into something that is more exciting, you might find it difficult. But if you are that kind of a person, I think you should maybe make a few breaks while watching it and make a few notes also, so you remember what did you watch and what did you learn from it. Because
to people who are married?
Well, I would, but I don't think I would recommend them to watch it at the same time, like to watch it together.
Do you think would they appreciate each other more after watching the movie or less?
Well, it depends a lot on what kind of a person you are and what do you see in certain stuff. Like, I'm sure both of us, even though we were discussing it, we probably skipped a lot of important parts to it because we can only see it from our point of view. And I can't tell what someone who is totally different from me see in this movie. Someone probably wouldn't see anything. Like I said, at first I was like, well, this isn't as interesting as I was expecting it to be, but it is actually. Just you gotta really be into it. And what do you think about it?
Personally, I thought I wouldn't get into it because it was such a different genre that I'm used to. That was my first issue with it. Like, I didn't know if I could relate to it, could feel through it, could experience it. It should be experienced, right? So I kind of went skeptic into it, but as I knew, like, we would actually had to do this thing with reviewing it. I kind of felt I need to try to understand it more. So I get really in depth to the situations. Like, I try to analyze everything that was happening throughout the movie, which made me actually connect to the movie more, which is kind of weird. To a point where I was like, kind of like feeling like, Jesus, this is just fucked up. And it kind of surprised me. So that was good, I guess. Like, the movie was supposed to touch on your emotions, which it definitely did. And rewatching it the second time, I did grab more intel. But I think, generally speaking, if you really want to understand the movie, doesn't matter what kind of movie it is, at least watch it twice. Because you're always skipping something out of one or the other reason, right? Generally, I would say it was one of the better movies I watched, definitely. Just because of the way it interacts with the audience, right? Even if you're not like comparing yourself to one or the other, you can feel their emotions, you can feel their stress, you can feel basically what they're going through is really hard, and kind of makes you feel like you're never gonna get married at all because that shit is fucked up. Definitely.
How did you rate this movie?
I would rate it 4.5 just because not all actors had the same capacity as the two main actors. Nothing saying about the lawyers. I'm not gonna point out who or what. Some characters could have been played better. That's just my point of view. Also, the story has a little bit gap that I wish I would know what happened actually, but whatever. But other than that, I would say 4.5 is definitely a fair number, to the movie.
And what about the trailer?
The trailer, as I said, it wasn't perfect, but it was better than most, so I would say also 4.5, yeah. I can't really complain too much about it, but what can you really expect from a trailer? So in the end, I would say 4.5 is a fair number as well to give it to the trailer. What about you?
Well, I don't know. I think I would give both a 4 because it is pretty good movie. The acting is like fantastic. It was really well written and everything. I think it has a lot of good points to it, and I think everyone should watch it. But it wasn't as interesting to sit through, so it was really hard to watch. So, but then again, what could we have expected?
I think that was the point of the whole movie, like to get you where you're not really comfortable with. So this is the part where I said like they had these funny scenes, right? Just to snap you out of it, you know, so you don't really fall down to the depression of the movie actually being so hard on you, you know. So I guess yeah, to some point they manipulate it through comedy, right? To get you out of that kind of state of mind, right? Let's say, for the sake of argument, I would say let's stick to 4 on both the trailer and the movie.
Yeah, I guess so. I would also wish it would have some visual effects that would go along with the story, and maybe some retrospection or
Like for instance, in the fight scene, he could have just destroyed half of the house. It would have been more interesting, right? And
well, no.
nobody crashed a car in the movie, which is kind of weird. It's an American movie, right? What the fuck is happening there?
That's a good one. Yeah.
So I think Baby Yoda's
Yeah.
gonna agree on this one.
Yeah, I was just about to say we'll see what Baby Yoda says, but yeah, I think 4 is a good grade. So, thanks everyone for sticking to us till the end of this. Let's hope this won't be as long edited as it was while we were recording it. And see you again soon. Maybe you can advise us what we should review next.
Yeah, recommend a movie that you want to have reviewed, definitely in the comments. So we'll probably try to stick to it.